The new MacBook Air just dropped. It starts at $999, less than the $1099 it used to start at. The question is, of course, is this the Mac that you've been waiting for, or should you hold out for something else? Now, if you're torn between this and the pricier MacBook Pro, or maybe even the compact Mac Mini, then you're gonna wanna stick around because I'm gonna break it all down. We're gonna go over things like this brand new sky blue color here, the M4 chip, the new RAM situation, the fact that this can drive two 6K monitors now. For those interested, we'll talk about comparing this to the iPad Air so you can see if you're just buying one thing, which one's right for you. But real quick, for those of you who understand AI is reshaping the world and you wanna understand it, but it's hard to wrap your head around it, I've got a course called My AI Edge, which will help you use it to reinvent your world, which I'll link up down in the description with a really nice coupon so you don't have to stagnate. You can get it all figured out. I remember when the Midnight Blue came out, it was great. I've always liked the gold. Nothing wrong with the silver, but sky blue is the new color this year. And I gotta say, it's a nice looking color. I see why so many people are talking about it. It's different, but it's not too crazy either. If at this point you're kind of bored of the silver look though, or midnight's just kind of too dark for you, then this new color might be perfect for you because honestly, it kind of matches the name Air. It looks like sky, airy, light. The Air's always been about ultra portability. So if you're a student, if you're a creator, if you're just on the go, you got the 13 and 15-inch varieties. The entry level is $999, but it's pretty crazy to get an M4 chip for that price. It's 25% faster than the M3. What does that mean in your daily workflow? We can get into that. But also, it keeps things running nice and silent, and it's built for AI. So even if you're not into Apple Intelligence as it stands right now, Apple Silicon excels at running local language models, for instance, which requires a ton of horsepower. And so you can run something like LM Studio on here and get amazing results. In fact, I just want to point out at this price, this is the cheapest way into Apple's latest silicon. And so yes, that means it's going to be snappy for light computing, like I think a lot of people picture when they think of an Air, things like surfing the web, but you can also push this pretty hard. Like I said, you can fire up LM Studio for local LLMs. If you're tired of paying for ChatGPT, you can get some crazy video editing in Final Cut Pro, yes, on the MacBook Air. I'm just gonna remind everyone, my channel started long ago editing 4K video on a MacBook Air, one from a long time ago. So these are more than capable of being video editing machines, even though maybe you might wanna upgrade for more power at some point, depending on the level of video editing that you do. Same goes for producing music in Logic, or for playing the latest version of something like Civilization at 60 FPS, on high settings. You can do that on the M4 MacBook Air. A lot of people continue to be bummed out that there's no Xcode yet on an iPad because they want a nice portable solution for editing code on the go. Well, the M4 Air here can actually handle some pretty heavy code bases and big exports, which is just to say that the Air, even though it's not a Pro, is more of a beast than people really realize, I think. Something worth pointing out is that 16 gigs of RAM is now standard. You can go up to 24. So a lot of people are gonna be excited that you're not stuck with 8 gigs anymore. That was the case before. So just to make that concrete in your head, if you're gonna be doing something like editing photos while streaming, while messaging, or anything else, you can do all of that simultaneously without any hiccups. You know, before when the Air was just packing that 8 gigs, you had browsers that were choking on too many tabs. There was more lagging, there was more of your mouse turning into a beach ball. Now, those problems should disappear for most people, and really this is gonna last you much longer into the future. One thing I'm personally super excited about is that you can now drive two 6K external displays. I think you have to have the lid closed for that, double check me. But if you have two studio displays, which are 5K, you can also have the Air's display itself open for a third screen. This is 15 inches, the one I'm holding right here in my hand. Like, that's a lot of screen real estate. In fact, my current desk with the two studio displays doesn't really leave me enough room unless I get a riser, which I had and I took off, it's a long story, to make it those two displays float above the MacBook Air screen because it's so big. So I actually would have to keep it closed just to make use of those, but it's cool that you can. That's the whole point. That one fact alone makes this so much more powerful in many ways beyond just what the chip can do. Because in my mind, it kind of lets your mind spread out a little bit more and you have to switch between windows less. It's just luxurious. It also lets you take advantage of desk view. So it's kind of that pseudo fake camera angle that will let you show what's on your desk, but make it look like it's more of a top-down shot. So if that's something that you saw demoed and you're excited about, there it is. I do want to give you a sample of this newly upgraded front-facing camera. It's been upgraded to 12 megapixels, up from 1080p. So it is a noticeable boost, a nice boost. I'm in a well-lit studio here, and I just want to give you the raw image and the raw sound. I haven't edited or messed with this at all. I just want to give you an idea of what it's going to look like when you pop onto FaceTime or into a meeting. Now, overall, the look of this thing hasn't really changed, okay? Again, this is the 15-inch, nice and thin, basically what you would expect, but I do want to point out the ports have gotten a bit of an upgrade. They were Thunderbolt 3 before, now they're Thunderbolt 4. So that's going to get you set up those really nice speeds, although you can't daisy chain, I don't think, your monitors together. So you're gonna have to take up both of those ports if you want to use two external displays. Or the other thing is you can always just grab a hub. If there's any room for disappointment, I think most of the complaints you're gonna see are gonna be like, why is there no OLED? Why is there no 120 hertz refresh rate? This is still liquid retina, 60 hertz refresh rate. Well, you know what? For most people on an Air, I think they're not gonna care or notice, right? The people who really care about this stuff can go up to a Pro and be very happy. Really love this angle because it really just does a good job of showing off the thinness. You can grab this with one hand, but it should be noted that the battery life is unchanged here. So if you were hoping for extra battery life versus last year, that's not really gonna be an upgrade here. It is still rated at 18 hours, so it's not like anything to complain about really. That's pretty good for this ultra portable form factor. The M4 helps, it sips the battery, and you know, it has no fan. Like, it's nice and quiet. Now, just real quick, I know I promised that if you were looking at the Air and the iPad version, and you're kind of contemplating, well, for your sort of workload, could you get away with the iPad Air, or do you really need to go with the MacBook Air? Let's talk about that. I mean, if you go with the MacBook flavor of the Air, you get the full laptop experience for $999. That means Mac OS and real multitasking. I'm putting in the air quotes because to some people, the iPad can multitask, and to others, that's not real multitasking. And also the ability to run really intensive apps like the full version of Final Cut or Logic. But on the other hand, an iPad is modular and you can use the Apple Pencil or your finger. And if you want to add on a keyboard, yeah, you can do that too. Excellent for media, excellent for drawing or sketching or handwriting. But for certain workflows, a lot of people still feel like iPadOS is just too limiting for them. So if you're not in the market for two devices, but instead you just want one, then go with the MacBook for work horsepower. Go with the iPad for portability and play and precision if you need it. I mean, like, you just got to optimize for the sort of workflow that you're after. People always talk about how the Office suite is so annoying over on the iPad. It depends on your job probably too. Nevertheless, this is an upgrade for you if you have an M1 or an older Intel. So I think for students, for remote workers, for people who need some power but don't need the most powerful machine out there, then this is perfect. I think with this price week, you're not likely to see a MacBook Air sales slump. But who should skip this though, even with this new sky blue color? If you already find yourself with an M2 or M3 MacBook Air, you probably want to hold off because it's probably going to be too similar unless you really do want that dual monitor setup. And if you really just do need more ports or power, then you're probably going to want to look for the Pro. Hopefully this video is really helpful for you if you're trying to decide if this is the right Mac for you. Don't forget, you can check out my AI course, My AI Edge, with a nice coupon down below. And stay tuned / get yourself subscribed because I do have another new Mac that may or may not have just arrived that I'll be talking about shortly as well. And I'll catch you in the next video. Later.